It's 11:42 p.m., and you are telling the story again. Not to anyone. Nobody is awake but you. You were lying in the dark, running the same 4 minutes on a loop. The email nobody answered. The promotion that went to someone else. The friend who didn't show up when it mattered. You are not looking for a solution anymore. You stopped needing one 3 replays ago. What you are looking for now is something else. You are looking for the story to prove something. That it was not your fault. That you did not deserve it. That someone, anyone, should feel bad about what happened to you. Even if the only someone in the room is you. There was a poem, 4 lines long, written almost 100 years ago by a man who never met you and never will. And it names exactly what is happening in that room at 11:42 p.m., better than most therapy sessions ever will. It also points to a way out, one that has nothing to do with positive thinking and nothing to do with pretending you are fine. This is black sheep psychology. And today, we are talking about self-pity. What it actually is, why reaching for it is not a character flaw, and what the natural world does instead. A mechanism you were never taught, but already have access to. Let's be precise about what we are talking about, because self-pity gets used carelessly. Pain is not optional. Everyone gets hurt. Everyone loses something, gets passed over, gets left. That part is not a choice, and nothing in this video is going to tell you it should feel different than it does. What is optional is the second layer, the one that gets built on top of the pain, usually within minutes. That second layer is a story, and it has a very specific shape. It always casts you as the one something was done to. It always needs a witness, even if the witness is only the version of you lying awake replaying it. And it always asks the same silent question. Does this count? Was this bad enough? Will someone agree that I did not deserve it? That question is the engine, and it is worth noticing that no other animal on Earth asks it. A dog that gets left out in the rain does not construct a narrative about being underappreciated. A wolf that loses a hunt does not spend the walk home rehearsing what it will say to the pack. Animals experience hardship completely, and then they move, because they do not have the equipment to build a story about themselves out of what happened. You do have that equipment. It is one of the most sophisticated things about being human, the ability to take a raw experience and turn it into a narrative, complete with a main character, a villain, and a moral. That capacity built civilizations. It also built self-pity, because the same tool that lets you tell a meaningful story about your life also lets you tell a distorted one. Self-pity is not weakness. It is a byproduct of intelligence pointed in the wrong direction. And once the story exists, it needs an audience to keep running. So you tell it, sometimes out loud to a friend who has heard it 4 times already, sometimes silently to yourself at 11:42 p.m. Either way, the telling is doing a job. It is trying to convert your pain into proof. Proof that you were wronged. Proof that you are owed something. Proof that someone, somewhere, is required to feel sorry for you before you are allowed to put it down. Here is the problem with that trade. The story only works if someone accepts it, and most of the time, nobody does. Not fully, not the way you need them to. So the story keeps running, unpaid, for years sometimes, waiting on a verdict that is never going to arrive. In 1929, the English writer D.H. Lawrence, better known for his novels than his poetry, published a short poem called Self-Pity. The poem does not moralize. It does not instruct you to stop feeling sorry for yourself. It simply makes an observation, small and exact. He had never once witnessed a creature in the wild feeling sorry for itself. And then he offers a single image to prove it. A small bird, caught by the cold, falling frozen from a branch in the last moment of its life without ever having built a single thought about the unfairness of what was happening to it. No audience, no story, no verdict required. Sit with that image for a second, because it is easy to misread. The bird is not brave. It is not stoic in the movie hero sense, gritting through pain with a clenched jaw. It simply does not have the internal mechanism that would let it turn its own death into a narrative about deserving better. The cold arrives. The body responds to the cold. There is no third thing, no story layered on top, translating the experience into a case that needs to be argued. This is the part that matters, and it is easy to miss on a first read. The bird is not stronger than you. It is not more disciplined, more evolved, more spiritually advanced. It simply does not possess the tool that manufactures self-pity, the capacity for self-referential narrative. You possess that tool, which means two things are true at once. You are capable of a kind of suffering the bird will never know, the suffering that comes from a mind replaying its own wound on a loop, searching for a verdict. And you are also capable of something the bird will never have access to either: choice. The bird cannot set the story down because it never picked it up. You can set it down precisely because you are the one holding it. That is not a small distinction. It is the entire argument of this video. Now, the part that most content about self-pity gets wrong, including a lot of the Stoic-flavored content you have probably already seen. The goal here is not numbness. It is not toughen up or stop feeling things. That advice does real damage because it teaches people to suppress a signal their body is trying to send them, and suppressed signals do not disappear. They resurface, usually at a worse time, in a worse form. The distinction that actually matters is this: there is a difference between feeling an emotion and building an identity out of it. Grief is a real, appropriate, uncomfortable response to real loss. Anger at genuine unfairness is a real, appropriate, uncomfortable response to genuine unfairness. Those emotions are not the problem, and nothing here is telling you to shut them off. A nervous system that could not register loss or injustice would not be regulated. It would be broken. Here is what a completed emotional response looks like. It arrives. It moves through the body, often physically, as tightness, heat, heaviness, tears. And then, if nothing interrupts it, it resolves. Not instantly, not on command, but it moves, the way weather moves, because that is what emotion is built to do. Self-pity is what happens when that process gets interrupted, not by suppression, but by narrative. Instead of letting the feeling move through, you freeze it in place by replaying the scene, rehearsing what you should have said, performing the injury for an audience, real or imagined. The emotion stops being a signal and starts being a script you rehearse. You can usually tell the difference by asking one honest question. Is this feeling resolving, or is it looping? Grief that is doing its job changes shape over time. It softens. It becomes something you carry differently. Self-pity does not change shape. It runs the exact same 4 minutes over and over, because its function is not to process anything. Its function is to build a case. This is why calm in black sheep psychology is never framed as suppression. Calm is what a nervous system looks like when it is allowed to complete its own process instead of being hijacked by a narrative that keeps re-triggering it. The bird on the branch was not calm because it felt nothing. It was calm because there was no second layer standing between the cold and its response to the cold. This distinction is not new. It is one of the oldest ideas in Western philosophy, and it shows up almost identically across three very different thinkers. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself in a war camp nearly 2,000 years ago, kept returning to one idea. The event itself is rarely the thing that harms you. What harms you is the judgment you attach to the event, the verdict, the story, the "this should not have happened to me." He could not control which battles came. He could control whether he spent the night after each one narrating his own victimhood or simply meeting what was in front of him. Seneca made a sharper version of the same point. He warned against the habit of rehearsing a complaint, telling and retelling the story of an injury, because every retelling does not process the wound, it reopens it. The wound does not heal by being described in more detail. It heals by being met, once, honestly, and then left alone. And centuries later, Nietzsche gave the idea a name that still gets used today: amor fati, love of fate. Not resignation, not, "I guess this is fine." Something closer to a refusal to spend your energy wishing the past had gone differently. Not because the past does not matter, but because arguing with something that has already happened is a fight you cannot win, and every round of it costs you the present moment you actually have some power over. None of these three men are describing detachment. They are describing precision, putting your energy exactly where it can do something and refusing to spend it anywhere else. That is the same mechanism Lawrence noticed in the bird, dressed in different language, arrived at from a completely different angle, a few thousand years apart. The pattern is not new. What is new is having a name for the specific human trap that makes it hard to practice. The story-building instinct that turns pain into a case that needs a verdict. Here is the practice. Not a mindset shift, an actual sequence, something you can run the next time you catch yourself starting the loop. Step 1. Name the fact without the verdict. Not, "they always do this to me," not, "I never get treated fairly." Just the fact, stripped down. This happened. It hurt. That is the entire sentence. No villain, no case file, just the event and the honest weight of it. Step 2. Ask yourself one question. Is there something here that is actually mine to do? A conversation to have, a boundary to set, an action to take? If yes, the feeling has a job. It is pointing you toward that action. Take it, and the loop has somewhere to go. If the answer is no, if there is genuinely nothing left to do, no amends to make, no boundary to draw, that is your signal that you have moved from processing into performing. There is nothing left to act on. There is only the replay. Step 3. Give yourself one line that closes the loop instead of feeding it. Something short, something you actually mean. I felt it. I'm not going to carry it past what it's worth. Say it once, not as a suppression technique, as a boundary. The same kind of boundary you would set with another person, except this one is with your own mind. This is not a one-time fix. It is a rep, the same as any other rep. Attention redirected, on purpose, every time the loop starts running. That is the exact muscle the self-mastery workbook is built to train. Not daily affirmations, which tend to paper over a story instead of correcting it, but daily thought corrections. Short, specific interruptions aimed at the actual pattern, not a generic feel-good replacement for it. Attention control, practiced daily, is what eventually makes step 3 automatic instead of effortful. The wild thing on the branch never had to run this practice. because it never built the loop in the first place. You will have to run it, probably for the rest of your life, because you have the one thing the bird does not: a mind sophisticated enough to build a case out of anything. That is not a flaw to fix. It is a tool to aim. Go back to the room. 11:42 p.m. The same 4 minutes on a loop. The story reaching for a verdict that was never going to arrive anyway. Next time you catch yourself there, remember the branch. The cold arrived. The bird felt it completely, not less than you would, not with some animal indifference, but completely, without a single thought spent on whether it deserved better. Nothing added, nothing rehearsed, nothing waiting on anyone's permission to be let go. That is not coldness. That is command.